Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So in the last episode, I did a demo on identity resolution. So today, let's do some knowledge check, right? Um, to test understanding. I will be doing this knowledge check from a tryhard because it's pretty organized and it kind of mimic kind of questions you might get, right? I'm not saying you will get exactly the same, but it may have been all right. Who knows? Okay, so what reconciliation rules specify the value from the most recently updated record uh, must be selected for inclusion in the unified profile. So obviously, the oldest record, there's no such thing. The most occurring source sequence. Um, so war reconciliation rule specifies the value from the most recently updated record must be selected. So it comes to the last update, right? Which is quite obvious if you've been working in Salesforce for a long time. Okay. Now, when using match rules, if you remember the matching rules we did with individual attributes and contact points, you risk creating combination of records with the same contact point, such as shared business phone number. It's used across several individuals. What should you do to prevent this from happening? So include many attributes and contact points, which makes no sense, right? I mean, why would you want to do that? Avoid using match rules with individual attributes and contact points since it's not a recommended practice. That's absolutely a pretty bad advice. Set up match rules with single connected contact point. It looks very tempting, but is it so, right? Ensure names are included into rules because the name is what gonna make sure you will have you it will ensure you are not risk creating a combination of record with the same contact point. So it will become name. So these things are quite easy, right? I mean, if you see the stuff you've done, so that's why I often encourage you to go and do hands-on. After the identity resolution process, after the identity resolution process completes, what should you examine to validate identity resolution rule set outcome? Um, Obviously, if you remember when we did um, the rule set and matching rules and reconciliation, he often looks for the resolution summary on the right side, if you recall that, where it says zero slash something, right? So that's where it comes in the picture. Um, if you look at it, because there's last modified data attribute will not tells you anything, right? Because it makes no sense. Bidirectional rule set will not tell you anything either. And the resolution summary, which you see on the right side of the panel, you can see, record sync and all other stuff, right? All the necessary information. So that's where the resolution summary will come into picture. Non-unified profile figure, not really. Okay, so move the steps of the identity resolution process to the correct order. So obviously, when you wanted to do an identity resolution process, you need to create a matching rule, right? And once you create a matching rule, you do reconciliations. Once you do reconciliations, you check the result, right? Um, and um, but before you do any of it, right, you need to have a data, right? So you need to do the right data ingestion. Data needs to come to your data model object, and then you started creating a um, identity resolution process. So because the whole point of identity resolution to have a single unified information, right? Because your data might be coming from a different source. So the first important thing, you need to profile data across uh, the data source, which is an important thing. Then you configure the matching rules first, right? Because you don't configure the reconciliation rules. You configure the matching rule first, then you configure the reconciliation rule, then you verify the result. So this is quite easy. I'm pretty sure you guys might find it quite easy as well. Um, The unification process recognizes and matches data belonging to individual humans. Yes, that's right. Which of the following is the end result of the process, right? Obviously, you know, um, so data, the match data appears as a record mapped to individual data model object. This data produces a map allowing your organization to pinpoint all its customers' location. This data produces a map allowing your organization to pinpoint all its customers' location at any given point in time. I'm just reading the options, right? This match data creates within Marketing Cloud a separate object, which is completely irrelevant. So, but just still wanted to read that out for you for each piece of data from the customer. So you can ignore D. The D doesn't make a C doesn't make much sense, right? So do the A. So it should be A. Now, which matching rules are available to link multiple records into unified customer profile? If you remember the demo I did, so you could have seen the fuzzy match and exact name match, exact phone number match, email match, right? These are the things where they're as a part of an option, but I haven't seen anything called org ID or device name. Uh, so there is no such thing as such. So these two things this is pretty straightforward. So you can do this, you can do that. I mean, this is why it's important. You guys should do hands-on. Um, which of the following are true um, of the match rules, right? Um, this one, they establish criteria for relating source individual record to each other. They produce a record called unified individual. Um, they make use of the standard and custom, which looks good to me. They can only be used for standardized attributes, which is not really true, right? Because if you look at this one, they make use of standard and custom attributes mapped to the data model. So if this is true, this can be true. So if this can't be true, then that means this are true. So because it's pretty simple. Which of the following are true for anonymous profile? This one is at least one known individual profile is matched with anonymous record. This record will mark as going forward. Um, the source profile without is anonymous field map on individual is always considered anonymous. Hmm. For anonymous profile to be counted correctly, the value of anonymous field must be set to 0. I don't know if this is correct. So they are excluded from the known utilization of sorry, then they're excluded from the known profile utilization conception. So you're talking about the anonymous profiles. So obviously A is correct. I'm not 100. They're excluded from the known profile utilization, or because I know this is not true. This is absolutely not true. I'm a bit confused between B and D. So let me see. I'll just put it B. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's not right. So it should be this one then, because C is absolutely not right. So okay. So that means if you're using anonymous profile excluded from a non-profile utilization conception, that's pretty good to know. Fuzzy match methods are not available for fields from which object. Obviously, it's account. It's pretty straightforward, right? Individual is part of it. Contact phone, contact point address. We're part of it. So it is the very, very simple, right? Okay. Ooh, that's interesting. Match this identity resolution. Oh, I hate these kind of questions, right? It just gives me a headache. Um, records from your source data stream that data cloud reviews to identify matching profile. Records from your source data stream that data cloud reviews to identify matching profile. Is that your source profile? Stores information related to unified profile and can be related to many unified contact points. Matching rules, no. Rule set, no. Consolidation rate, no. Unified contact objects. Store information related to unified profile, so and can be related to, okay, so it should be this one. Contains match and reconciliation rules that tells identity resolution how to match and reconcile your profile. So it is match rule, no. It is a rule set because rule set contains your match rule and configuration. Customer data that has been reconciled across multiple sources as a single record using identity resolution. So you're talking about, the final output, so which is you get a unified profile, right? So that should be straightforward here. How data is processed and reviewed during matching, that should be um, um, uh, it's not a match rule. Let's look at this one, right? Tells data cloud which profile to unify during the identity resolution profile. So which profile to unify? So obviously that's driven by the match rule, right? So that should be match rule. The metric that shows how source profile are grouped. Obviously, it's not a match method, right? It's a consolidation, right? So which means hopefully it's correct. Oh, that's great. I mean, in general, a lot of things are easy when it comes to data cloud, right? It's if you ask my opinion, I have given a lot of Salesforce certifications. That the most difficult one is for me was the identity architect one, right? That was a little bit tricky one for me. Um, and apart from that, all of the certs, which I've been part of, Omni, Studio, developer, consultant, um, all other architects one, right? They're pretty straightforward, right? If you have experience in that area. So I've been delaying Data Cloud Cert for a very long time because I've been practicing it. I wanted to do hands-on. I can't go and take cert just by reading theory, right? It doesn't. It's not really. It's not going to work for me because I need to rely on my muscle memory. I need to remember the stuff I've done. Just reading, I can't relate when I just read stuff, right? Then we are entering in the world of science fiction. Then I have to envision stuff, and I don't really have to when I can just go and log into an org and start doing stuff, right? So that's one of the reasons why I often tell you guys before you go and take any Salesforce, all right, it's good to do some hands-on because it makes you a better Salesforce professional if that's what you're aiming to become, right? So yeah, that's pretty much I wanted to cover in this episode. Hope you guys have an amazing Saturday. Adios.